Monarch Legacy of Monsters is bringing Godzilla and gang to Apple TV, and I could not be more excited. So for the next 9 weeks, this is going to be your place for Monarch coverage, breaking down everything in Episode 1, how it connects to the other MonsterVerse movies, Easter eggs, and things you may have missed, along with my reaction and review. I'm J-Buck. Welcome to J-Buck Studios. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now let's get into Episode 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So things kick off with a prologue connecting to the events of 2017's Kong Skull Island with what is going to unravel into the Monarch series. We're dropped into 1973, again the same time as when everyone was on Skull Island. John Goodman's William Bill Randa makes his last will and testament to camera, talking to someone he's had a falling out with. Now, I'm assuming that this is going to be Lee Shaw's character, with this prologue taking place between the show's two main timelines, with whatever knowledge the two have being a big thing to play into the plot later on. Funny enough, this is kind of retconning Skull Island. None of this actually happened in the movie, or we didn't see this happen in the movie, as Bill is chased by a mother longlegs, also called a bamboo spider, the same species the group ran into in Skull Island, and is caught in the middle of a fight between the spider and what might be a larger version of the trapdoor crabs featured in the Skull Island animated series, or merely one of the rock critters from Godzilla vs. Kong. Luckily, Bill avoids all of the mayhem, but had already tossed the Monarch bag that's going to be the MacGuffin or plot device everyone is after in this series. Though this intro scene is a bit jank, I love how they got John Goodman to reprise his role while really upfront saying, yeah, this is really connected to the MonsterVerse movies. I guess for anyone not familiar with the MonsterVerse movies or need a quick refresher, this series is probably going to reference or feature events from 2017's Kong Skull Island and 2014's Godzilla. Maybe some of the other movies, but I'll get into those if and when things pop up. So Kong Skull Island takes place in 1973, days before American troops are pulled out of Vietnam. A group of Monarch scientists, including John Goodman's Bill Randa, a military escort, and a handful of others, venture to the mysterious Skull Island, only to discover it is covered with monstrous creatures, most notably Kong. Kong ruins their initial plans of research and exploiting the island's rare resources, leading to the remaining soldiers wanting to take down the big old monkey man, while the others believe he's actually a friend rather than a foe as the island's protector. On the other hand, 2014's Godzilla showcases 1950s nuclear testing to actually be the military trying to destroy Godzilla. It then switches to 1999, featuring an ancient MUTO, which stands for Massive Unidentified Terrestrial Organism, larva hatching and taking over a Japanese nuclear plant, resulting in a meltdown. Now, 15 years after that, in 2014, the MUTO larva hatches into an adult, traveling the Pacific eventually to San Francisco, reconnecting with its mate and laying eggs for even more MUTOs. But the chunky Godzilla boy steps in, busts up the two MUTOs, with San Francisco taking collateral damage. So at this point in the story, Monarch has had their fingers in the dough since the 50s, and monsters are publicly known as no longer myth, which explains all of the signs and missiles and evacuation drills Kate is exposed to when she first arrives in Japan. Now, Kate has some mild PTSD, having been caught on the Golden Gate Bridge when Godzilla attacked San Francisco in 2014. There's an offhanded comment by the taxi driver claiming that San Francisco was all a CGI hoax, which is a clever nod to how, yes, the 2014 Godzilla movie was, of course, loaded up to the gills with CGI, but how, unlike the original 1954 Godzilla, was no CGI or very low special effects, with a man actually in a physical costume. Kate's missing father is what drove her to Japan, only to learn that he had an entirely different family, wife, and child, which devastates her, but to me only adds to the mystery around what he was up to, and the claim that his plane went down in Alaska is definitely a lie. Her and Kentaro's dad is still out there, but where is the real mystery? As the pair search their dad's office, Kentaro is definitely not happy about Kate and the secret double life family, but the pair soon find a hidden safe containing the same Monarch bag that Bill Randa ditched into the ocean back in the 70s. How their dad recovered it from the fishermen is beyond me, but they take it to May, your stereotypical hacker woman. Surprisingly, she's able to get some of the Monarch files decrypted as we see pictures of what looks like the flying Muto from the 2014 Godzilla movie, some skull crawlers, the USS Lawton ship that John Goodman mentions in Skull Island, amongst other classified Monarch files. However, all of this, of course, alerts Monarch with a crucial system warning, and now a Monarch agent is on their trail. A couple things stood out to me here, though. Is this the same Monarch researcher in Godzilla when the first Muto appeared? Maybe, I don't know, but they mention Verdugo. This name doesn't bring any Godzilla-like results when searched. I thought it may connect to maybe Godzilla King of the Monsters, but we'll have to wait to see if and when Verdugo is revealed. But I think the reason these files caused a systems alert is maybe because it's data that Monarch may not have fully on their files on the books, but more specifically, it ties in with the satellite map of their fathers on the wall. This map could potentially be the locations of Titan holding facilities around the globe that were featured heavily in 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. It would be a great way to kind of bridge the 4-ish year gap between this and that movie, while explaining why their father is missing. So let me know your thoughts on these missing files in the comments. Going back in time to 1959 Kazakhstan. I actually preferred this storyline much more as we're introduced to two Monarch researchers, Kyoko and our boy Bill Randa, which is funny because he must have had some extensive plastic surgery to not look like his old ID in Skull Island. Army officer Lee Shaw is the third wheel on this adventure to an exploded-out abandoned nuclear facility to search whether or not the network is real. Now, the network in question is the Hollow Earth theory, a network of underground tunnels that keeps ancient monsters safe, living in their own world. In Skull Island, this was the same crackpot theory that older Randa was going off about, later to be proven real or true in Godzilla vs. Kong. They detect radiation spikes as they get closer, throwing on some gas masks, and head into the woods. Now, on their way, they run across a young boy hunting, claiming that all of it is a fairy tale to keep the curious people out, and sure enough, their Geiger meter reports that there's zero radiation as they get closer and closer to the plant. Them taking off their masks to be relieved of the safe area is a nice nod to Godzilla when Bryan Cranston's character makes the same revelation. The reason the radiation is dissipating as they get closer is because Mutos actually feed and thrive on radioactive materials, a nod to the original 1950s Godzilla bombings like Shaw had mentioned, and how the radiation is clear in both of the scenarios I just mentioned. In order to test the ground density, charges are planted to give the scientists ground vibration readings. This same technique was done in Skull Island with seismic charges on a much larger scale, as they learn that the ground below is almost hollow, revealing a nest of Muto eggs that have been feeding on the radiation. I don't think it's the same species of Muto, but the eggs look awfully similar to the ones that are laid in 2014's Godzilla. Anyway, they attempt to get genetic material from the eggs, only for them to hatch into what may be Kakra, a cockroach-like kaiju, first introduced in the book Godzilla Discovers America. The Kakra overwhelm them, with Kyoko unfortunately falling to her death. And I'm saying that this is actually final because in the present day, when they see pictures of Kyoko standing in the footprint of Godzilla, they mention that she had passed when their father was young, so this was probably when that happened. What we know, though, is that the grandmother passed, grandfather was there and then died on Skull Island, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen that movie, and their dad, the son of these two, is missing in action due to something with Monarch, the thing that started all of this. I was both pleased and hesitant when this project was announced solely because of how polished will the monsters look, and are they going to have to take a back seat solely for budgetary reasons? Nope, Godzilla looks great, and I've watched episode 2 actually, and the monsters are solid. The biggest thing that surprised me was the human drama and mystery. I mentioned earlier that the present-day timeline has the mystery and intrigue, but the double-life family drama is fine. Kind of boring right now, just because the acting and banter isn't as strong, which was always a weakness of the movies. But the 1950s timeline, weaving story beats in with the movies and monster hunting, I think is going to be the saving grace, most interesting part of this series. The chemistry between Mary, Yamamoto, Anders Holm, and Wyatt Russell is key to hopefully how this show will continue, even if Kyoko appears to have become bug food. Another thing is expanding upon the lore and what the heck Monarch is. In the handful of MonsterVerse movies, it's hinted that they deal with monsters, but why? How? What are their motivations? And I'm seeing small glimpses of the story diving deeper into that aspect and how the final minutes of the present timeline play out. So far, episode 1 is solid. It did not blow me away, but Godzilla and the unraveling mystery has its claws in me. But that's episode 1 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. A slower setup, but I think there is going to be a whole bunch of monster shenanigans in the next 9 episodes. So let me know your thoughts, feelings, if there are specific mutos you want to see, and if there are any small details we may have missed in the comments below. Giveaway competitions are starting up again, as we'll be giving away 3 random 2023 Blu-ray movies on the 15th of December, and all you gotta do to get a chance of winning this is like this video, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on Monarch. We pick the comments at random, and the winners will be listed on screen in December. And if you haven't, please check out all of my other social media accounts from my shorts and clips YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything. This will be your home for Monarch for the next 9 weeks, so please subscribe and stay up to date on everything. Thank you again so much for watching. I gotta get out of here. Peace. Check out episode 2 right after this.